Welcome to They Don't Tell. What is it exactly that they don't tell? Well, we're going to talk about a topic that you don't hear very much about, and that's child sexual abuse. We're here to shed some light on an area that too often carries so much shame, silence, and secrecy. Have you ever heard that saying, what goes on in this house stays in this house? Well, we're not going to let that happen. What we say is hold your head up high. You have nothing to be ashamed of. So come on and join in the conversation with us right here on Worship Radio Detroit. Welcome to another edition of They Don't Tell. I'm your host. My name is Lisa R. Gray, and I am really happy to be with you again. I have to tell you that things are popping around here. So much is going on, so much excitement, so much activity. There's so much electricity in the air. God is doing so much in this season, and I am so glad to be a part of it. I really want to get a chance to talk to you today. Today we want to talk about God's breadcrumb trails. On this particular program, we talk about child sexual abuse. We talk about family dysfunctions. We talk about sex trafficking. We talk about what to look out for with teenagers. We talk about the signs and the symptoms and everything that surrounds those areas. Why? Because it's necessary. Why? Because it's been such a taboo topic that no one talks about it. And unfortunately, it's been on the increase. It's been expanding and it's been exploding. It's been exploding with our legalized pornography. We call it the First Amendment. I don't know about that. I have my doubts about that. But that's what I'm tasked to do. I'm your host. I'm an author. I'm a counselor and a licensed minister, ordained chaplain. And I tell you, more than anything else, I'm a child of the Most High God. And I have to tell you, God does some wondrous things. He's doing some wonderful things in this season. We're about to start our new television program in the fall. I hope you'll look out for that. It's going to be called Secrets Exposed. And we'll again be doing some of the same things. There's some other things that the Lord wants us to release to the body of Christ. So we'll be doing that. Our program is not just for those who are in church, but for anybody who's a child of the King, for anybody who has to walk in this earth and have to live in this earth. And the purpose of our program is how to live in the world and not be of the world. So today, if you get an opportunity, you might want to share the program with someone else. Today is April the 30th, 2018. I want to say happy birthday to my dear brother. I love you. I tell you, I just have been really, really blessed with good men in my life. I have been really, really blessed with good brothers in my life. Even in my book, They Don't Tell, I had a chapter in the book in regards to my brothers and how they were of assistance to myself and my daughter once we found out that my ex-husband had sexually abused her. And I think it's so important to say and to give honor where honor is due, because we talk about this and we know the majority of the people who have been sexually abused are women. But we have to always remember that there's some very honorable men in this world. And we never, ever want to dismiss them, or we don't want to make light of that. And when we talk about a subject like sexual abuse, when we know that 80 to 90% of it is the young girls who are being abused, we have to be careful that we don't shove aside our men, because there's so many of our men and so many of our husbands and so many of our spouses and so many of our brothers like mine and so many of the men in the community. And we have so many pastors and we have so many good teachers. So we have to be careful that we don't paint a broad brush. We have to be very careful that we don't taint. We have to be very careful that we're not accusing everybody, because everybody's not doing this. Everybody is not perverted. Everybody's not looking for a child to harm, and everybody's not looking for a child to violate. Let's make sure that we honor the good men in our community, the good men in our schools, the good men in our homes. I have to tell you, I've got two good brothers. And again, I wanted to say happy birthday to Ronnie. And I also have two good sons. I had the pleasure of spending some time with my eldest and his firstborn. Miss Anaya had her first birthday yesterday, so that was a lot of fun to be there. So today, I really want to talk to you about something that God and I, we have this special relationship. I hope you have the same one. But he does little things to me. It's like He'll give you tests and he'll give you trials, and he wants to see how you do. Did you learn that last lesson? Are you really listening to him, or are you listening to the people that are around you? I don't know who I was listening to. I don't know if I was reading something or listening to something, but they talked about how some people have crowds and some people have those that, there's sometimes it's the crowd that's talking, the chitter chatter all around you. But when you have a relationship with the Lord, even when the crowd's talking, and even if it's your inner circle, you still have to be true to your God. You still have to make sure that you're listening to his still small voice. You still have to make sure that you're following his plan and his pattern and the way that he provides for you and the way that he talks to you. And I wanted to talk to you today about something, God's breadcrumbs. God is, he says, okay, Lisa, I want you to do X. He didn't say, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. He said, Lisa, I need you to do, put your name in that place. If he says, he calls your name and says, I need you to do, fill in the blank. What's your response? Is your response, oh, I'm on my way. I'm getting ready to take care of that right now. Or do you get rushing thoughts of, well, I can't do that. Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, I'm not prepared to do that. Well, I can't do that by myself. Well, who's going to help me? The minute the Lord speaks to you and speaks to me and says to do something, what's your first response? Is it to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, do you think I can? Is your first response to say, okay, Father, I'm going to do it. If you go with me, I'll go? What's your first response when the Lord gives you a mission? When the Lord gives you a path, when he gives you something that he wants you to do, what is your very first? What's the first thing that comes across your mind? Okay, I'm going to do that. Or is it immediately the enemy come in and rush in with fear, rush in with panic, and rush in with that logical part of our mind where, well, how will I do that? Well, how is that going to work? Well, that doesn't make any sense. I tell you, I'm just telling you how the Lord deals with me. I said, Lord, you just give me breadcrumbs. Because you don't tell me, go do this and this is the way you're going to do it. You simply go do. Because he wants to see where your faith level is. Faith and fear, arch enemies. Faith and fear are arch enemies. Let's talk about, in the context of the sexual things that I normally discuss. Am I going to speak on what's happened? Am I going to speak on how I was violated? Or does fear come in and concern of what are people going to say about me? What's my family going to say? What's that going to do to my reputation? All those questions that come rushing into the back of your mind when the Lord is telling you to step out on faith because it's time to speak up. And one of the reasons that I have found out, I'll tell you, for me, one of the reasons that I found out that he tells us to speak about those things that nobody else does is so that you can have some freedom. Because in Isaiah, he tells us that he came to set the captive free. There's so many people that walk around in their homes and they walk around in their jobs and they walk around in their schools and they walk around in their churches imprisoned, still held captive by things that happened long, long ago. but they're affecting their today. It affects how they talk. It affects how they behave. It affects their habits. They're imprisoned while free. Fear has come in. I think that was Billie Holiday. She had that song about Blue Monday. She said, "Come on in and have a seat." I talked to so many people. Where fear has come in and it's their old friend. Fear. They're captive in their mind. They're captive in their thoughts. They're captive in the things that they say, the things that they do. They're captive when they're angry with people. They're captive when they're raging. They're raging with somebody that's in front of them, and they don't even see the person that's in front of them because they're raging at what happened years ago. They're raging at what happened to them when they were little. They're raging at the person in front of them, true enough, but they're really talking to the person that violated them when they were a teenager. You're sitting there trying to have a conversation with somebody who's imprisoned in their mind, and they don't know it because they don't see the chains. But their actions tell on them. Oh, my God. Your actions will tell on you. See, when you have a conversation with somebody, unfortunately, they don't realize it, but those skeletons, they kind of slip out of their mouth. And it becomes real obvious that they're still captive. They're still imprisoned by an uncle, by a father, by a babysitter, by somebody that they trusted and betrayed them. They're still held captive while they're sitting in church on Sunday. Still captive. Still not free to express their love for the Lord. Matter of fact, some of them are still angry because they've made the decision that if the Lord wanted to, he could have stopped that from ever happening to them. And they have this sordid explanation of things, and they're just twisted, and they're so tangled up, and they're enchained, and they're in cords, and they're in confusion, and they're in chaos. And some, quite frankly, are in isolation. Have you ever watched Intervention? That television program, Intervention, for those of you who are overseas, there's a television program in America called Intervention, and people try to help their loved ones who are drug addicted. In the beginning of the program, I mentioned that because at the beginning of the program, it attempts to give you a timeline of what went on with those people. And over again, you'll hear where they were molested. I want you to listen for that. If you've never heard that before, I want you to listen. What's the root issue that they're trying to medicate themselves out of? Those symptoms where they were violated and they never received the healing. And God said he came to set the captive free. Have you ever watched the program? It's called My 600-Pound Life, where women mostly women and men too, have eaten themselves to where they're morbidly obese. They can barely walk. Many of them are knocking at death's door if they don't lose this weight. And they do the same thing on that particular program where they try to give a timeline of what's taking place in that person's life. How many of them were molested? And I really think one of the reasons that the Lord gave me this assignment was that because we don't talk about it, Because we don't discuss it, because it's taboo, because what goes on in this house stays in this house, because of the shame and people don't discuss what happened to them, or they're afraid that they're going to be blamed, and many times they are blamed. Let's be frank about it. Many times they are blamed. What did you do? What did you wear? So it stays in secret, and it stays in silence. And people suffer, and many times they turn it inward, and they look for something to help ease the pain. So some people will start drinking, and some people will start smoking, and some people will start alcoholism, and some people gamble themselves, and we find the hoarders, and some people will sex it up. I mean, you name it. We find all types of ways to dull our senses so we don't have to feel the pain. And the number of people that are re-victimized over and over again. But nobody talks about the fear of talking. I'm here to tell you that it takes faith, and it takes great faith, to start talking about what happened to you. Because what happens is the purview of the community, the culture, immediately zones in on the victim and wants to slice and dice the victim. Well, they knew what they were getting into. Oh, the comments with Bill Cosby. Oh, my Lord. Are you guys for real? So here's somebody who is very powerful, can get you into he's in the entertainment industry, and that's what you want. So most of the people that I know somebody that can help them in their careers. And here you have a very famous man who wants to help you. How many of those women said, by the way, I'd like to be drugged and raped? Is that the quid pro quo? Drug me, rape me. I want to be famous. You can drug and rape me. How many of them said that? So when you say they knew what they were go in for, exactly what does that mean? Because I have a daughter. I have 2 granddaughters. And who knows how many it's on the way. And if they decide that they want to go into the entertainment industry, is that what they're supposed to say? Drug me. Me. Drug me. Rape me. I don't know of an industry that people don't try to find a network of community. And if you find somebody who says they're willing to help you, how many others are being drugged and raped? And yet still you're looking at the person and say, well, they knew what they were going to getting into. I don't know of any. You got to stop doing that. We as a culture have to stop doing that. We have to stop blaming the victim. Even if we use bad judgment, we still have to stop blaming the victim. And we have to stop being dismissive. It has nothing to do with a man's color. It has nothing to do with a woman's color. See, the God I serve wants to look at the heart of a man. So my question to you is, what's the last breadcrumb the Lord gave you? Because he only gives breadcrumbs, and he wants to see if you're going to follow them or you're going to go your own way. What's the last breadcrumb that he gave you to follow it? And just put it out there and see, is Lisa going to listen to me? Is Janie going to listen to me? Is Bob going to listen to me? Or is he going to listen to the crowd? Or is he going to listen to his fear? Or is he going to listen to his friends? Or is he going to listen to his family? Is his ear to my voice? I really want to encourage you to take a look inside. And Lord, I think it was in 2 Kings where he said, listen to the still small voice of the Lord. You really don't want him yelling at you. I've had that experience, and that's not a good experience. We know the children of Israel had it, And it was so bad for them. They said, please don't, we don't want the Lord to speak to us anymore. Let Moses speak to us. Let Moses speak to us. The Lord has so many different ways of talking to us. I really want you to think about, what was the last thing the Lord gave you to do? Did you do it? And then I just want to say to you, if you didn't, it's so easy to repent. It's such a gift. It's such a gift that the Lord gives us the opportunity to simply say, Father, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that. Can I have another chance here? Can I get a do-over? And the thing about his grace and his mercy is he keeps giving us another opportunity. Go back to that last thing that the Father gave you. The last breadcrumb that he gave you. It could have been really little, or it could have been big. It could have been a loaf. But have you completed the last assignment that he gave you? Or did you get stopped in the middle? Did fear come in and swoop in and take you over and take you off the beaten path? Let me tell you, my experience writing that first book was horrible. Fear was a constant companion. I had to constantly be reminded, this is what God said to do. This is what God said to do. Distractions were coming in, and distractions are back. They're back. They're like crazy. The enemy never wants us to complete our God-given assignment, but we all have a God-given assignment. We all have a God-given assignment. We have God-given tasks. And we really have to learn how to go to the Father and say, okay, Father, what's my priority for today? What do I need to be working on today? Because the enemy comes in with all these different distractions, and you get phone calls, or you're watching TV and you get it's easy. Life is crazy. It really is. I certainly understand that. I, for one, understand. But sometimes when God has given you an assignment, one of the best things that I did, I'm just letting you know what I did. I'm not saying that this will work for you, and if it does, great. But I had to shut myself in. I took 3 weeks where I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't talk to anybody. Hardly anybody. But I didn't go to my regular church services. I needed to get going on my God-given assignment, because the Father had made it very clear, you have to write this book, and it's taking you too long. So I took some time, I carved some time, and I was like, I'm going to sit here at this computer no matter what. And it's really strange being able to finish that assignment. I've had so many people ask me how to write a book, and I'll tell them, I don't know. God just he showed me some things. But the one thing that I was able to do, and if that helps you, here, you can have it. But whatever I was able to deal with that particular day, whatever was on my mind in the process of that entire hellish year, that was what I wrote about. And then I let an editor put things in some type of order. But my mind wasn't, you don't sit down and write a book from the beginning to the end. That's not how you do it. Excuse me. That's not how I do it. I had to do it according to, one day I could talk about the trial, or one day I could talk about my son, and one day I could talk about, and that's the way I pieced my book together. They don't tell child abuse from a mother's perspective. So and this is the thing, so many of you, God have given you that same assignment that he gave me. He gave you a book. And this is the thing. The book is even not about you, but it's about those who are coming behind you. See, the enemy comes in and tells us again so many times, well, you don't have nothing to say, and you don't know how to say it, and you don't know how to write. And he bombards your mind. But if God gave you the assignment, who are you going to believe? See, that breadcrumb, that's a big one. That's a big one. It takes time. It takes energy, and it takes dedication. But this is the way the Father works. Once he sees that you're going to do what he gave you to do, he'll come in and he'll help you finish that thing up. Yes, he will. He'll give you that extra wind, and he'll give you that extra energy, and he'll give you that extra boost. He'll give you what you need. He'll give people around you that will encourage you, because that's just the kind of God we serve. But that breadcrumb right there, oh, the number of people that have a book. You don't have to sit down and write A to Z. But I really want to encourage you. You don't want to hear what I heard. You don't want to, look, the Father gave me a spanking, okay? He gave me a out and out good old spanking because he said it was taking me too long. You don't want that spanking. I'm really, in this season, with everything that God is doing, I'm trying. I'm determined in my heart to do what God has given me and to do it with a quickness. I want to be obedient quickly. I want to do it then. I want to do it before I have a chance to let the enemy come in and talk me out of that word. What's that in Matthew where that word, sometimes it falls on rocky ground and all the different types of soil. I want it to fall on good soil. And I'm saying this, I don't know. I hadn't planned on dealing with this, but too many of you have a book inside of you. The enemy really does not want you to get that out because he wants to show, number one, that you're not faithful. Number two, that you're not honoring God. And everything I do in my life, I want to honor the Father. I want to honor him. And I know that you want to do the same. Fear is a bugaboo, okay? But I'm telling you that you can overcome fear with faith. Sometimes you just have to sit down and maybe you have to give your own self a spanking. But come on, you can do this because that's what he's giving you to do. And then after you completed that first breadcrumb, you know what the Father will do? You'll be at a crossroads and he'll lay down another breadcrumb and let you know. Lisa, go to the right. Joe, go to the left. Carly, go to the right. That's the way he does it, but he gives it to us a step at a time. There's just breadcrumbs. We don't know where the end is going to be. We don't know where it's going to be. All we know is that he's there and he's leading and he's guiding. He's a lamp unto our feet and he's a light unto our path. There's a reason that he gives us breadcrumbs because it can get overwhelming if he was to tell us everything. We'd be trying to figure out where Z was when we haven't even got to B. So let's do it one step at a time. And that's have that faith and have that trust in him. You know, sometimes you might have to quote some scriptures that will build up your faith on a daily basis. But I'm telling you, those breadcrumbs are precious. They're very precious. And God wants you to be faithful in your walk. And what it does for those who are around you, you will never know. You'll never know what you've done or what you embark to do and how you embark to be faithful to the Lord will encourage those who are around you because we're a community. And we help one another and we engage one another. And your testimony, oh my Lord, whatever it might be that he's given your hands to write it. You don't have to write a saga. You don't have to write 500 pages. That's not necessary, not in this day and time. Write a small mini book. Put it on the internet. Make it so easy until it's crazy. If I can help you, get in contact with me. I'm at kidsdon'ttell@gmail.com. Our website is Every Step Counts Ministries. One of the things that the Lord has given me, he keeps giving me books to write. I have to tell you, I've got 3 on my computer right now I'm writing. 3 that I'm writing. I have a list of books, of at least another 5 that he's already given me to write. Why these? I don't know. But that's what he's given me to do. So I'll go on this journey with you. I've had people call me and say, you know, the Lord wants me to write a book with you. I've had a couple of people do that already. It's like, okay, Lord. So we're going to be doing some writing. I'll offer any assistance I can. It's really funny to me because I am not an English person. Okay, that is not my forte. But I love the Lord. And I've learned some things along the way. I've taken some bumps. Oh, got some bruises. Thank God for the healing. He heals as he goes. Our young people are in so much need. There's so much going on in the world right now where the culture has gotten so off kilter until we no longer know right from wrong. So whatever God has given you, it is needed, is necessary, and it's going to leave a legacy We're going to have to leave something for our younger people. They need something to chew on that's substantial, because that they're chewing on right now is junk food, has no nutritional value. So if the Lord has given you a book to write, if that's the breadcrumb that he's laid out to you, get in contact with me. Let's do it together. Let's do it together. This summer, we'll be getting ready for our new television program, Secrets Exposed on Worship Online Network. It's starting on September 10th. Nothing but a breadcrumb. Okay? That's nothing but a breadcrumb, I'm telling you. What God is doing is phenomenal. It's extraordinary. And he's just a faithful God. I really want you to continue to just tune in. Get ready for what God is about to do, how he's exploding and expanding in this season. I just trust you to walk with him, trust you to hear his voice, and listen to the difference in what God says in his word and what the culture is saying. Listen to the difference in what God says is good and what the culture is saying is good. We've drunk some Kool-Aid, and we as a people, we're dying. We're dying spiritually. We're dying emotionally because we drank some Kool-Aid that was nothing but pure out-and-out poison. We've believed this stuff, that my body is my own and I can kill my baby anytime I want to. We believe that stuff. We've taken it to heart, and we've decided not only will we have abortions, but we'll use it for birth control. We'll do it 2 times, and we'll do it 3 times, and we'll do it 4 times, and we're still in high school. We believe that pornography is our First Amendment right. We've taken that stuff into our system. We believe that Hustler magazine doesn't affect me. It's just, quote unquote, adult entertainment. We've taken that stuff into our hearts, and we've taken it into our eyes, and we touched the accursed thing. How many of you know what happens when we touch the accursed thing and say it's okay? We've taken pornography. We've had ministers across the pulpit tell married couples to spice up their sexual life with pornography. We've taken the accursed thing and we've decided that it's okay. I invite you to listen to the Father and see the difference, how we decided that wrong is right and right is wrong, how we wanted to change God's law. We decided that homosexuality, well, that's the way, because that's what we want, because that's the way I was made, because that's my inclination, because that's my lifestyle. So we said, okay, go ahead and marry anybody you want to. We've tried to change God's laws, and we want to put our stamp of approval on it. I invite those of you who have some inkling of what it means to be herded into a certain area, that's what the media has done to us. That's what Cosmo magazine and Playboy magazine, and we have eaten and we have drank and we have touched and we have taken our bosom into our heart the accursed thing. We've decided that it's the right thing to do. If you're following God's breadcrumbs, I invite you to vomit that stuff back up. I invite you to turn that off and tune into something that God is saying. I invite you to turn your ear off so that you don't listen to that, so that you have a gate, that you don't just let anything go your way and it's okay. It's so important for us to start pushing back in this culture. It's so important for us to listen to the Lord and to follow his breadcrumbs. You know, some of you may hear God speaking in your heart about, Lisa, you shouldn't be listening to that. But it's got a good beat. So if the Lord is talking to you in here, he's not beating you over the head. He's not condemning you. He's speaking to you. He's saying in Isaiah, come, let us reason together. Though your sins be as red as scarlet, I'll make them white as snow. He's saying, turn that off. That's not good for you. He's saying, honey, you don't want to go to that. You don't want to go watch that movie. That's not going to be good for you. He's saying to you, no, no, honey, don't let your kids watch that vampire movie. No, you don't want them doing that. See, God's not coming to you and knocking on your door and saying that he's speaking to your heart. It's that still small heart, still small voice in your heart. It's the breadcrumb that he's given you. What breadcrumb has the Lord given you? What's that one thing he's told you to do? He might have told you to do 5. Pick one and say, okay, Father, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go the way that you said. I'm going to go the opposite of what the world is doing. He's really looking for people that will listen to him, that have their ear tuned to hear his voice no matter what is going on around them. Because we continue to have tornadoes and we continue to have storms. But when you get in the eye of the storm, where the peace is, where God can talk to you, and he'll lay another breadcrumb and say, follow me. He's looking for people that'll follow him. Our daughters that are being violated, our sons that are being violated, had people violate them that did not have their ear attuned to the Lord. They want to do what they want to do. They let their flesh lead them down a path. It happens over and over and over again. And because we've decided that that's First Amendment now, no more morality. We don't have anything such as morals anymore. That's gone. We've just laid it aside and said everybody can do what's right in their own sight. And God no longer is an authority in their life, and God no longer can control their life, and God no longer can tell them what to do, because I have my own mind and I want to do my own thing and I want to go my own way, and I. Does that sound familiar? You hear all those I's? We know that in the book of Isaiah that's what happened with Satan, and he was cast out of heaven because all he talked about was what I. Let's be careful. I'm so afraid that we're turning into a narcissistic society. It's all about me. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. Look at me. 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 And now we're doing it in the pulpit. Oh my Lord. There's some things that we've got to get back on track. We're going to have to rein in our own selves, and we're going to have to do it the way God wants it done. I really invite you to go on this journey with me. I don't know where God's going to lead us, but he's never going to take one person at a time. He wants to take the community of like-minded believers, and I invite you to really invite the Lord into your heart and accept him as your Lord and Savior, and give him the reins, and let him know that I'm going to do it your way, Father. Let him put some breadcrumbs down and follow him. Don't let fear get in your way, no matter what it is he's telling you to do. Some of you, God is telling to go back to school. Why? Because we're living longer and we have more to give. Yet still the enemy said, oh, you're too old. You can't do that. Who do you think's telling you that? You think God's saying you're too old to go to school? You're too old to finish your high school diploma? You're too old to get an associate degree? You're too old to take up that photography class that you've always wanted to take up. You're too old to start that fashion business that you've always wanted to do. What did God plant in your heart? And the enemy snatched it from you. And he took hold of it, and he won't give it back without a fight. You're going to have to fight to get it back. You're going to have to fight fear, and you're going to have to fight it with faith. But I'm saying to you, there's breadcrumbs available. I'm following God's breadcrumbs. I'm telling you. This thing with the sex trafficking and the opportunity to speak with victims, and we're starting to hold that healing child sexual abuse seminars. We're doing those in the churches. We're doing those in the schools. God's got some things in this second half of my life that I was not planning to do. But I'm going to follow him because he's giving me the breadcrumbs. So it was a pleasure getting an opportunity to talk with you today. I really, really appreciate the support that we've continued to give. I thank you for those who have partnered with us. I so bless you. one thing for sure, we cannot do this by ourselves. And I really bless you. I bless you. I bless your families. I bless the God in you. I ask God to continue to bless you as never before, that he'll continue to open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive. As we continue to work, to do some different things with our sex trafficking victims, and do some things with our young women and with our young mothers and with our single parents, and we continue to talk about this. We continue to work toward righteous laws. We continue to talk about accountability. I'm going to say that again. We continue to talk about accountability. We have to hold people accountable for that which they do, even if it's 30 years ago. Why? Because God said he loves justice. That's what God's given our hands to do, and we're going to do it. And we appreciate those of you who have walked alongside of us. You have truly been a blessing. I ask God to bless you and your family continually. Until we meet again, my name is Lisa R. Gray. We're here at the hotel, and we're going to be working at Secrets Exposed, and we're going to keep on doing what God says to do. We're going to follow the breadcrumb trails, and we invite you to do the same. Blessings to you until next time. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope the information that we shared today was helpful and informative. And if you'd like to know more information about the topic of child sexual abuse, please join us at our website, lisargray.com. And also, if you are interested in sowing into the ministry, you can do so at that same website. You can contact us on our Facebook page, They Don't Tell. Thank you.